Hey guys, it's Maymay and it's time for another top tip, and today's top tip has to do with fussy cutting. Now, lots of you guys tell me you don't enjoy fussy cutting and that you would prefer a die for all of your stamps. But I want to show you something. Fussy cutting is an easy way to save money because you don't have to buy those dies. And secondly, it's not as hard to do as we kind of make it out to be. So let's start with one way of fussy cutting, or one way I like to. The first thing I'm going to do is cut these guys apart because I don't want to hold all this huge piece of paper in my hand. I want it to be a smaller piece of paper that I can maneuver that's pretty similar to the size of my image. The next thing I'm going to do is when I'm going to fussy cut, I'm not going to hold my blade perfectly straight up and down like this. I'm not going to come in and go perfectly straight. What happens is a lot of times we can kind of get off of our line when we do that. What I'm going to do instead is hold my scissors slightly open. You see that? I'm just going to turn them out like this. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to get in here to this edge. Okay, and I'm going to roll my blade out. Do you see how I'm holding it out to the side? I can see exactly where my blade is going when I do that. If I hold it straight up, sometimes I can't see where my blade is going as well because it's kind of obscured by its own self, right? But if I open my blade up just a little bit, I can see exactly where it's going. Now, opening your blade up, it might be, that may be something from my hairdressing days. I don't remember. I learned to cut hair years ago, and I might have learned it there. But it works for fussy cutting to just hold that blade at that angle, not straight up and down. When you do this at home, you'll see what I mean. When I hold it at this angle, I can see exactly where my blade is going. I know exactly what I'm cutting away, and I don't get any kind of extra white lines. I don't get anything left, right? Because I can see what I'm cutting away. The other thing I want to tell you, this is for fussy cutting right on the line, okay? There's another tip I want to tell you, but I want to do a little more of this one so you can kind of see. While you're fussy cutting, another thing to do is to move the paper and not your blade. Do you see how I'm rolling the paper into the scissors instead of picking up the scissors and doing cuts like this? This is how you get choppy cuts. You want to do nice, long, smooth cuts, okay? The more you can do this, the smoother your fussy cutting is, and the less you do this, okay? So not sharp bite, long, smooth bite, all right? And so that is my tip for fussy cutting right on the line. Open your blade, long strokes like that with your scissor, and turn the paper, not the blade. Even here, I'm turning the paper and not the blade. Okay, that's one. The next thing I want to talk to you about is this. If you're not the best fussy cutter in the world, I want to show you something. You can cut using an offset. See this, how I'm not cutting right to the edge of the sailboat? I'm cutting away from it. No one will ever know that I'm not very good at cutting directly on the line because I'm going to cut like a bubble shape. I'm just going to mimic the shape of my image in a bubble. Does this make sense? Like, you probably used to do this when you were a kid. You would just kind of cut around things kind of willy-nilly, just following the shape itself. And you do not have to be perfect for this one. Just going to cut, follow that little bubble shape, or follow the shape of the image and leave this bubble around it. Now you're thinking, oh, that makes sense. Everybody kind of does that. But honestly, if you're not the best fussy cutter, this is a great way to feel like you have a die for an image, but you don't. And you don't have to get into every nook and cranny when you do this. Most dies are going to leave an offset anyway, and so that's a great way to do it. So cut it like a bubble, and don't be afraid of it. Think like when you were a kid. When we were a kid, we used to do that kind of stuff all the time. So fussy cutting, I still want to cut this one out. Fussy cutting with your blade open right to the edge, and then fussy cutting in the bubble if you're not as confident with your fussy cutting. I still want to cut this one all the way out. I love to fussy cut, by the way. I know some people don't. Some people think it is the worst thing in the world. But if you'll practice and if you'll try these tips, especially opening the blade, you'll be surprised how much easier your fussy cutting will be. All right, so I didn't finish it, but that's pretty close, and that's how my tip for fussy cutting today. There are more tips, but I'm going to start with that. So open the blade, move the blade in long cuts, and move the paper, not the blade. And if you can't do this kind of cutting, do the bubble. It's perfect. It works just as well. All right, guys, I've said it a bunch of times this month. We're having a giveaway. When this channel, Maymay's Product Parade, reaches 100,000 subscribers, we're going to give away a machine of the winner's choice. So we'll be giving away a Cricut or a Scan and Cut or a Silhouette machine. The winner will get to choose. And all I need you guys to do is click subscribe so we can get there quicker and do our giveaway. All right, guys, we do a tip every Monday and Friday. So come back and watch for more. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you again next time. Bye-bye.